Good Shabbos, everyone. It's great to see everyone this evening, and not only good Shabbos, but of course, a Happy New Year. So I used to love Southwest Airlines. I mean, it was my go-to airline. I have my credit cards, the Southwest Airline credit cards. I fly Southwest as many times as I can. I much rather go to Hobby than Bush. I love the no fees. I love the free baggage. In fact, when we were planning our Israel trip this summer, I jokingly asked the travel agent, can Southwest fly us to Israel? Well, I don't love Southwest as much as I used to. Things have changed dramatically. I think all of us, whether we were affected personally or, of course, saw the news, I want to tell you about my story that happened this past Sunday. I was very fortunate for my in-laws who took us and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and their families, 20 of us, to Mexico for 5 days. We had a terrific time. And everything was great until we got to the airport on Sunday, on Christmas Day. We were all in a good mood until at the exact same moment we got that text on our phone, the dreaded, your flight's been canceled. And there we were in line with all of our luggage, thinking, okay, no big deal, we'll take a later flight on Southwest. Until we found out all flights on Southwest were canceled for the next 4 days. How were we going to get home? Well, let me tell you what happened to the Strauss family of 5, to tell you not only was mad then, and how more upset I became as the hours went on. First, Southwest Airlines split the 5 of us up. There was first my daughter and me, my 19-year-old daughter, who's my companion, the companion pass. They said, Mr. Strauss, you and your daughter, Noah, can stay in Cancun for 4 more days. I said, great, have you talked to my synagogue and find out yet? And where will I stay? Well, don't worry, Mr. Strauss. At the latest, it will be 4 days, but in the meantime, we'll get you a hotel, and we'll try to work out and get you back sometime soon. So they took my daughter and me, put us on a bus, dropped us off at a hotel that I think I would never step foot in again. My daughter and I waited for 45 minutes in the lobby until the woman at the front desk said, there are no rooms for you, Mr. Strauss. I could not believe it. And there I was left to find a room for my daughter and me in the middle of Cancun. Well, that's the best of the 5 of us. My wife and my son, Ari, they were put on a flight to Austin. And then they were going to fly in the middle of the night back to Houston. So after going through security and getting to their plane and about to board their plane, of course, what happened? Their flight was canceled. So they thought, okay, no big deal. We'll figure this out. We'll just get our luggage and go back and we'll find a hotel in Cancun. Well, it literally took them 5 hours to not only get their luggage from a flight they never took, but to get special immigration papers to get back in through customs back into Mexico. To say my wife was upset is an understatement. But that was not nearly as bad as what happened to my 21-year-old son. As we were enjoying the 80-degree weather in Cancun, where did my 21-year-old son end up? In 10-degree St. Louis, Missouri. Yes, it was his first time to see St. Louis, Missouri, and I don't think he'll ever go back. My poor son got flown to St. Louis, and they promised he'd get back to Houston by the next morning. And I was at some godforsaken hotel in Cancun. He called me at 3 in the morning. His flight, of course, was canceled. And together on the phone, we found him the only available hotel in St. Louis, Missouri. And my poor son was wearing shorts and a sweatshirt in 10-degree weather. And it took him about another 18 hours to end up here in Houston, Texas. So no, I don't love Southwest Airlines as much as I used to. And I was upset. I was angry. We finally got back by that Monday evening, about 36 hours later, but I was so upset. How could Southwest Airlines do this to me, to my family, and to so many others? And as it often is the case, our tradition gives us something to think about. And I often find there's something in the Torah portion that speaks to exactly to the emotions that I was feeling. Now, this Torah portion, Vayigash, is the great story of Joseph. The story when Joseph has an opportunity to finally take revenge upon his brothers. Remember, these are the brothers that sold him into slavery. These are the brothers that left him to die. It would make sense now that Joseph, years later, the second most powerful person in the most powerful empire in the world, the empire of Egypt, can now gladly take revenge upon his brothers. But what happens? Does Joseph take revenge upon them? Does he act upon his anger? Rabbi Sachs tells us the following. Joseph, at that moment, reframed his entire past. He no longer saw himself as a man wronged by his brothers. He had come to see himself as a man charged with the life-saving mission from God. Everything that happened to him was necessary, he realized, so that he could achieve his purpose in life, to save the entire world from starvation during a famine and to provide a safe haven for his family. This single act of reframing the past allowed Joseph to live without a burning sense of anger and injustice. It enabled him to forgive his brothers and be reconciled with them. It transformed the negative energies of feelings about the past into focused energies for the future. Joseph, without knowing it, had become the precursor of one of the greatest movements in psychotherapy in the modern world. He showed the power of reframing. We cannot change the past, he realized, but by changing the way we think about the past, we can change the future. Yes, my friends, whatever situation we are in, by reframing it, we can change our entire response, giving us the strength to survive, the courage to persist, and the resilience to emerge on the far side of darkness into the light of a new and better day. So after reading what Rabbi Sachs had to say, I thought more about my experience over those 30-some-odd hours trying to find a way home for our family. And eventually we found a way home on United Airlines. We all made it back safe and sound. And I thought about that experience. And yes, I was looking forward to getting back that Sunday early afternoon, lighting candles for the 8th night of Hanukkah in our home. And instead, I was stuck in this godforsaken hotel in Cancun with my daughter. But we had my electric menorah. And we turned it on to all 8 nights. And it's a moment I think my daughter and I will never forget, bringing some hope of Hanukkah into our experience at the time. And I'll also remember being home Monday night, thank God, safe in our home. And of course, like many of us did, turning on the news and seeing literally millions of Americans, much more unfortunate than I was, stuck at some airport, far away from home, without their luggage, not knowing for sure whenever they'll get back. I was more grateful than I'd been in a very long time. It's not something you've never heard before. We all say, be thankful for what you have. But this experience that I had this past week reminded me more than ever, as we end this year and prepare to begin a new one, be thankful for what we have and for the things that have gone wrong over this past year, for the injustices that we suffered, for the times that made us angry, for the times that our loved ones made us angry. We can continue to be angry. We can continue to be upset. We can let that anger burn inside of us. Or, like Joseph did in our Torah portion this week, we can reframe the past, learn from the experience, and focus in on creating a better year ahead. Now, as I look back at this past week, I'm thankful that Southwest at least gave me something to think about, something to hopefully become a better person for as we prepare to begin a new year. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Now let's continue in our service.